What's up, y'all? Welcome to the video. Today we'll be continuing the Souls-like combat series with more work on our AI. In the last video, we left off with our basic AI setup where our enemy was able to chase the player. For this video, we'll be getting started with our attacks and some simple logic for our enemies to detect when they should attack the player. With that said, let's get right into our code. First thing we're going to start with here is setting up some of our structs for the attacks. Here we have a basic struct that'll hold just the name of the attack and the animation montage to play when that attack is triggered. You'll also notice up here that we have defined this as a uStruct of blueprint type, and all of our fields are uProperties, which is how we're going to be able to access the struct through blueprints. Now the next thing we're going to need is a combat component, and this is something we're going to attach to any actor that is linked to our combat system. So that includes our player, our enemies, and even our bosses. What the component will store is a map of any attacks that the actor can perform, as well as some methods for managing the actor's attack state. Since we're getting started with some basic attack triggering for this video, we'll only cover these methods in the header, but we'll expand on this component in the next few videos. As we do so, we'll begin to add things like health and methods needed for handling damage. Now looking into the attack method, we first check if the attack map is containing any elements and that the actor's anim instance is valid. Once that is checked, we then grab the attack from our map and get the animation montage. Finally, once we verify that that pointer is valid, we'll then play the montage. In our stop attack method, we basically go through the same process and verification checks. However, this time we stop the montage with the blend out time given in the method's parameters. Lastly, looking at the isAttacking method, we first verify the anim instance and map as usual, get the keys from the map, and then finally we iterate through these keys and check if the anim instance is playing any montages from the attacks contained in the map. If they are, we return true, and if not, we return false. So with that, now that we've gotten a start on our combat component, we're going to write up some new nodes for our enemy's behavior tree so that we can trigger the methods we just made. First, before we can even trigger an attack, we need to know when to attack. So we're going to make a node which checks that the player is within attacking range to the enemy, and we're going to do this through a custom service. In the behavior tree, every time we pass through the nodes that the service is attached to, we're going to update the key in the blackboard that tracks whether the enemy is within attacking range or not. So looking at the header for this, it is similar to our other behavior tree task files, but now our main code will be overridden in this method called onBecomeRelevant, and we're also including a field here for the attack range. Looking into the CPP of this class, we first get the blackboard and then we run a distance check between the player character and the enemy pawn. If the distance is less than or equal to our attacking range, then we set the blackboard key value to true, but if it is greater than this, it is going to end up being set to false. Lastly, before we start testing code and adding to our behavior tree logic, we're going to need to code up our attack task node. The header is going to contain the usual methods, and this time we're going to add a property for indicating the name of the attack which we're going to try to activate. In the CPP, we're getting the combat component from the enemy and checking whether or not they're already performing an attack. If they're not, we're going to get the blackboard key value from the service we just made, and if that is true, we'll run our attack method passing in the name from the node's attack property. Alrighty, so now back in the editor, we're going to start putting everything together here. So as you can see, we go back to our BP enemy, and we have our combat component in here, which I have attached. If you go up here and hit add, we can add a new combat component, like so. I've already done and gone that, so I'm just going to go over here, and we're going to add to our attack map, and we're just going to name this basic. And if we open this up, we can see all of our struct properties. Just name this basic again, and we're going to attach the animation montage to our zombie attack montage. Save that there. And next we're going to want to go back into our behavior tree, and we are going to start adding some of these nodes. So if we go and right click on our sequence, we're going to add a service, is player in range. And we are going to set this to one of the keys, which we actually don't have in our blackboard yet. We're going to need a new key over here. We're going to make a bool, is player in range. Save that. And set the key to be that. Now, move these over here. We're going to come down and type out attack, and this is going to be our attack node. So, we are going to actually set this to the name of the element that we just named here, which is just basic. Set the blackboard key to is player in range, since this is what we are checking for before we actually go and attack. And we're actually just going to rename this node to basic attack, just to help differentiate it from other attacks that we may be adding later in the behavior tree. Now, if we go and test that, as you can see, the enemy is now attacking our player. So there you have it, we now have our basic attack setup working for triggering our attack animations, as well as some new nodes for our enemy AI's behavior tree. In the next video, we'll continue work with this and begin to cover the health and damage handling for the combat system. Until then, I hope y'all have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.